right, guys, we're live. We're right back at you. Hey, guys. Hey there, Suzanne. Welcome. Glad to see you guys again tonight. Welcome to another episode of Renew Your Finance. Me and Rondell have been in the lab working on some good topics for you guys to kind of help us get through this inflationary period. We've got the topics we've been researching for you guys I think are going to be very beneficial to you guys. So I know if you saw the link for the meeting, you noticed that we are going to be starting a series on this. Me and Rondell discussed it, and the topics that we want to discuss won't do you guys justice to try to cram all of this into just one session. So we really wanted to dig into some of the psyche behind people going into debt. So we just continue to thank you guys for joining us. So once again, please like us on our Facebook page, as well as like our YouTube channel, and subscribe, share it with your friends. And so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. And we would like to have some interaction from you guys tonight as well, to kind of, we're going to be asking you guys some questions. You guys give us some of your feedback on how you handle some of these different situations that we're going to talk about tonight. And we're going to really dig into it. So we're going to be taking some hard looks in the mirror about the way that we handle certain things, about some of the emotions behind it, and really dig into the real psyche behind it. So with that being said, we'll do a quick review of our last session, and then we'll get right into the topic. So, all right, guys.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. I'm glad you was able to join us. I know we was on a little bit of a hiatus because we really are passionate about this, and we want to make sure that the topics that we're discussing, that you're joining us to discuss, and we're discussing with you, are going to be the topics that you take away from here and that you apply to your day-to-day life. Just like the last topic that we talked about when we were here just about 2 weeks ago. We had an awesome testimony. We were discussing how that we can able to maneuver in this employees market. If you are trying to increase your revenue, you possibly can do that within the sandbox that you're already in, i.e. the job or the career field that you're working. As I stated before, we had a great testimony from Adrian's wife, DeShonda, how she was able to maneuver herself and position herself in such a way that she was able to come and cross over to become, her own independent contractor to other companies. And then we also discussed and started talking about maybe possibly increasing your knowledge base in order to climb that ladder within your corporate America, or in your company, or in your government employment, if that's the space that you work in. So we explore those things, and again, more or less give you encouragement that these things can happen if you apply the methods, apply the avenues that you'll find yourself in, and actually go down that path and seek out that knowledge in order to gain that additional income that you're needing or you're wanting in this case. But tonight we're going to put a little twist on it tonight. So we're going to get back to more or less, we're going to go back to the gym. We've touched on this topic a little bit in our earlier sessions, and over our last couple of weeks, and Adrian and I have been in some good discussions about it, and I don't think we really gave it justice. And here's my reason why, is that because we can look at what's going on around us and see that some of the topics we may have hit and may have fell on surface, and that we still got some things that we need to do. So we need to start digging into not only why do we do things the way we do it, but what are some motivating factors behind those things. And that's why we're going to be discussing tonight your wants versus your needs. Now, hold on. Before you click off the button, now I got you. I know what you're saying. While we're exploring that again, we've already talked about that. I don't need nobody, get your hands out of my pockets per se. But we know there's a driving motivation for when it comes down to needs and wants, or wants and needs, and however you want to classify it. We need to explore it. Some things are not simply the way they are because you don't make enough money. There's some psychological reasoning behind the things that we do. I will tell you right now, because it happened to me when I was talking to Adrian this weekend. I've done some of the very same things that we're going to discuss tonight. And I knew why I did it, but I did it anyway. Yeah, I absolutely did it. Yeah, I cracked the Liberty Bell. That was your boy. But there was a reason behind it. Just like there's a reason why people this weekend felt compelled to, although it was Thanksgiving, they more celebrate Black Friday and the associated sales that go along with it. So as we walk down this path together tonight, and we explore the psychological reasoning behind the things that we do, what we do, and there may be a number of factors in that. Hey, be candid, be open, be yourself, have that transparency. If you have some colorful words, you're not going to offend me. I come from that type of household that everything was either red or yellow when I came from that type of household. So it doesn't really bother me because I understand you're passionate about your position and your stance on some things, and I can appreciate that. But also try to appreciate what is trying to be brought to the platform. The ultimate goal is making sure everyone that's here and those who you interact with have a desire to be debt free. I like to call it become free from being enslaved to that master. So that way you have that maneuverability to do the things that you were called to do. So we're going to kick it off, and we're going to start with a short video. I found it interesting today. And I think that all of you can probably relate to it one way or the other, or all of you may have participated in it one way or the other. We shall see as we go through the chat, or as we go through this session tonight. So
this morning, a resurgence of shoppers filling stores nationwide, with the season of savings in full swing.
Could not fathom being anywhere else but here right now.
An estimated 166 million shoppers unable to resist the frenzy of holiday deals this weekend, as seen in the snaking lines and packed carts. Shopify merchants reporting a 30% spike in sales compared to Black Friday last year. One Illinois mall reached maximum capacity, actually turning shoppers away. Meantime, tensions brewing at Amazon. Some workers staged walkouts and protests, calling for better wages on the biggest shopping day of the year. Yesterday's online sales are expected to exceed $9 billion in a Black Friday record. At the top of families' wish lists, deep discounts, with holiday budgets strained by decades-high inflation. Prices up 7.7% over last year.
We're just sticking to our own families just to save a little bit more this year.
2/3 of Americans are worried about inflation making holiday shopping more difficult.
A lot of people have cut their savings rate, they've dipped into their savings account, and they are running up their credit card using credit more than debit. And that does raise the question of where will the trade-offs kick in?
Retailers competing for cautious consumer dollars. With new in-store features, Best Buy recently remodeled 40 stores, building out new displays that allow customers to try before you buy.
84% of shoppers use some digital tools to research prior to coming in to buy in store. And so it's not just about where transactions are happening, it's about how our customers are using the fulsome set of resources.
As the dash for deals kicks off an unpredictable holiday season. And there's more to come. Small Business Saturday playing out today, and Cyber Monday right around the corner, expected to rake in, get this, $11 billion. Peter and Kristen.
Yeah, and it's all about those deals, as you say. Emily, Ketta, thanks so much for starting us off.
all about those deals. That's what they say. It's about those deals. Is it really? Is it about those deals? Or does it fall into the category that we're going to talk about tonight? Does it fall into the category of your wants versus your needs? And that's where we're going to kick it off tonight. We're going to discuss about wants versus needs, because as you saw, there was a mall up there that was so packed that they had to turn people away. Did you see anybody holler about COVID or RSV or any of those acronyms that's floating around in this space right now? No, they're impervious to it when it comes down to certain aspects or certain things that they want to do or maybe need to do. Let's explore that though. So Adrian, kick it off.
All right, so guys, one thing that you guys may have missed when they talked about that video was they said that people are now using more credit cards than they are debit. So that means that people are spending money that they don't have yet. So that just shows you how much emotion is getting tied into our decision making when it comes to wants versus needs. We all kind of know what we need to do, but sometimes our wants feel better than doing what we need to do. So, and sometimes we kind of indulge on that. So, one thing that me and Rondell talked about in our discussions as we were planning for these meetings, for this meeting, is he went through an exercise that him and his wife do, that where they kind of map out all of their needs and they map out their wants. They actually write them down on paper and a T-chart, and that way you can actually see and get an idea of what your needs are. And then it's all right to write down your wants as well. And then the exercise, I thought it was ingenious, and I actually wanted to start incorporating it with me and DeShonda as well, because that helps you identify and get a handle on these emotional things that come about when you're trying to decide, okay, well, is it really a need, or is it just something that I want right now because I think it'll satisfy an itch that I have. So we want to explore that just a little bit more. And Rondell, could you tell us a little bit about that exercise that you and your wife do when it comes to wants and needs?
So when it came down to Stephanie and I wants and needs, it had, let's be real. It didn't start out so well in the beginning. You know what I mean? Let's be 100. Because what I think is a need, she may, what I consider what wants are may be different from what she considered what wants are. And what I consider as needs, she may consider that those are not needs, those are actually wants. And so some of you who are single that's on the thread tonight, you may not have this issue. You may have the battle within yourself in regards to wants and needs, where we had to go into deliberation about how do we classify for the Smith household what our wants and needs are. And so we had to do some things were just totally basic about what our wants and needs are. We need to have a place to stay. You know what I mean? We have to have a place to stay. It's just a matter of fact. Unless you can, erect your own house at any place you want to go, you will have to find a place to stay. But we had to break it down. What do we mean by that? Do we need this much square feet? Do we need this much square feet? Do we need to live in this total area? We had to, map that out. We need to make sure that our bills are paid on time. We need to make sure that, we able to have money for, lights, water, things of that nature. These are things that take care of the four walls in the house per se. But would we have liked, or we wanted a 5,000 square foot house? Possibly so. We wanted that, but did we absolutely need that? No, because somebody is going to be cleaning up the house all the time if we have a 5,000 square foot house. So we necessarily didn't need that. And so, but we had to come to an agreement. What are our needs? Our needs, not her needs, my needs, what were our needs? And her needs, I had to see as a need to make them ours also. So we really had to discuss that. And as for it came down to wants, we had to look at what those things were wants and make sure that they are truly a wants and they're not needs, and needs are not truly wants. Because we found ourselves back in the day that we were mixing the two because we weren't putting anything in front of us to help us distinguish between what a want is and what a need was. What we were doing is we were phrasing these things and saying these things, and we were classifying them wrong. And we come to find out everything was becoming blended. And then we were making some financial missteps, put it that way, in the process, because we were blending everything, because we didn't have any guidance to go by and to make sure that we were in agreement of what our truly our wants were and our truly our needs were. And once we defined that for ourselves, for our household, then we were able to march out on the same accord to make sure that those needs were met. Those needs were deal breakers to the both of us. Like, absolutely, if we didn't meet those needs, we won't do any of those things over there. Like a vacation, the vacation is a want that we wanted to do. Paying off this house is something that we needed to do because we wanted to become free. We needed to make sure we had that flexibility in our life. So we haven't taken a vacation since Adrian and I came home from the military. I have not been on a vacation in 3 years since I came home from the military, because we were laser focused on what the needs were. The needs were for us to pay off the house, and anything that distracted us from that would classify as a want per se. Now, that's where that you have to make sure you categorize those things in the proper order in order to make sure that you're not getting them mixed up and they're not going on. Now, can a want turn into a need? Absolutely. It absolutely can. You know, I need to have transportation. We all need to have transportation. We all need to have the ability to get back and forth to the places that we need to go, whether we're taking our kids or whether we're taking ourselves to our jobs of employment. I need to have transportation. Did I needed to have that Corvette at that time to get back and forth to my job that I needed to go? No, I did not, because I wanted that Corvette. And this is the thing that me and Adrian talked about. How did I misconstrue a need that I just really need to get to back and forth to work, and I allow that want come over there into that same category, like I need to do this. Because when I was working in the United States military, this is how you need to be careful about your social circles that you may be in. Some of your social circles can cause you to turn a want into a need real quickly. And subliminally, you don't realize that it actually happened. So I'm sitting around, long story short, I'm sitting around a group of 5 guys. We're in the military, you know, we're teaching the other military men and women how to be leaders. And same time, every day, month in, month out, week in, week out, day in, day out, at lunchtime, we sit around the same table and we talk about one subject. We talk about cars. And we talk about cars every day. This type of car, this type of car, this type of car. Mind you, I already got 2 cars. My wife has a paid off vehicle and I got a paid off vehicle. But what we still have at the time is debt. At least over $20,000 plus in student loan debt, and maybe some medical bill debt and some other credit card debt. Now I still got all this debt sitting right here. But I'm sitting over here with some friends of mine and we kept talking about cars. Talking about cars. For some reason, in my spirit, I felt like I needed another car. Look at the words that I used now. Look at the words that I just used. I feel like I need another car. I just blended my list instantly. Like that was always a want. That was never a need. But I said that audibly to those guys sitting there. And you know what they did? They co-signed off that check that I just wrote with my mouth. Man, you sure do need another car. Look at all the things you do, blah, 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 blah. In a week's time, and I'm still friends with some of them right now to this day, in a week's time, we spent collectively, us 5, spent over $250,000 in cars. In a week. All of us got brand new cars in a week. I got a Corvette that was like $34,500. 2 of the friends of mine, they got $50,000 cars each, Audi S5s. Another guy got a $75,000 car, Dodge Durango SRT. And then the last guy, he came in not to be outdone. He came in not to be outdone because these are used cars now that we got. All these cars are used. They're not brand new off the showroom floor. These are the prices we paying for these cars. And next thing you know, he comes in with a brand new, whatever that year was at the time, Chevrolet Tahoe, fully loaded to the gills, running boards popping out of that thing, the whole 9. And we sitting around bragging about our cars, but collectively we were over $250,000, the 5 of us, over $250,000 in debt. And none of us makes even $100,000 annually. None of us. 2 of us combined doesn't make $150,000 annually. That, you see how the social circle that I found myself in made me, and the decision was mine, not blaming them, you know, and they would tell you to this day that I can't blame them for the decision that I made. But the decision that I made based upon the influencing circle that I was around, you know, prompted me to turn a want into a need And then therefore that need had really set me back in the goal that I was trying to get to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so you have to put those wants and needs in front of you to make sure you have a clear path of where you want to go. But I'm just telling about myself, guys. How many times have you find yourself in the same situation? If you have, throw it down in the chat. Let us know. How many times have you find yourself in a situation where you knew what you wanted was a want, but somehow you reclassify that thing into a need, and then only later to find out that, you know what, I really didn't. I really didn't need this, nor do I really want this. Because everything that I wanted, I currently don't have right now. I have lost everything that I wanted out of impulse buying and spending. I don't have the Corvette, don't have it. I don't have the $3,000 sound system that I put in that car, don't got it because it's gone with the car. I don't have the $250,000, not 50,000, the $250 exhaust pipe that I put in that car, gone. How many happened? Okay. You said it just happened this weekend, but what, Karen? Share with us. Go ahead.
She told me a little bit about it. Go ahead and tell us about it, Karen.
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute.
All right.
I was sharing with Adrian yesterday that I was in a battle because my TV had gone out in my bedroom, and it actually happened probably 6 months ago. But I had said to myself, oh, well, I'll wait a little while because there'll be some good deals coming up. And did I need the TV? Absolutely not. Did I want the TV? Absolutely. But I said, okay, I should get it. So of course I went online and went to everything, Walmart, Best Buy, Costco's, to compare prices. And I had the TV picked out. And then the Holy Spirit brought it back to my remembrance that just for Thanksgiving, I had showed, I don't know if you guys, and I don't even know the name of it, but it's like something that they use out in corporate America now, but it's like different pictures, like all different kinds of stuff. And they might ask you a question, you have to pick a picture and use this picture to explain it. Well, the thing that we did was something that you were thankful for or hopeful for. And I picked a picture of an astronaut, and he was out, like you could see the moon behind him. And I picked that picture, and I had said that I was thankful and grateful because I was going to be out of debt. And when I was finally out of debt, it would be like I could do whatever I want, that the sky would be the limit. And the Holy Spirit brought that back to my remembrance. And I said, you know what, even though I was going to pay cash for that TV, I said, this could go towards a bill. Don't do it. So I didn't do it, but it was close.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with you, Karen, that I think as you saw in the video, our ability to restrain ourselves had become, and agree or disagree, those who are in the thread tonight. I think our ability to restrain ourselves is at an all-time low in this regard. And I think a lot of it has to do with the circles that we interact in. We find ourselves, we hold high regard and high esteem of the circles and the people that we commonly commune with day in and day out. And then we also have to take a look at is that, the things that we look at commonly, whether we're watching programs on TVs and stuff like that, what are you watching on a daily basis? Like, are you always watching something that you yearning for, or are you seeking something, some knowledge possibly to help you fulfill those needs that are needed? Because at that particular time, I needed to pay off 20 plus grand of student loan. You know, after I had the car for about 2 years at $534 and some change, a car payment. Now I had it for 2 years. So on average, I was probably over a year, I probably annually, that was $17,000. I mean, $7,000, excuse me, not 17. My math is quite off on that number. But 2 years, it should have came roughly around $14,000 to $15,000. Now, mind you, I had this $20,000 plus student loan debt that we're still trying to pay down. You know, because remember in our last lesson, what's hers is mine, and what's mine is hers when it comes down to debt. But by me indulging in something, this want, it delays something that we could have paid off a long time ago, not just a few years ago, but a long time ago. So I really applaud you that that God has functioning your spirit to refrain for you to indulge in something. But sometimes we can't, because we don't control what we hear or what we see or the conversation we're in. And then sometimes we need to reassess the circles. So I will ask anybody, do you often reassess when you're trying to achieve certain goals? Do you often reassess the circles that you're in based upon the goals that you're trying to achieve? Because there are certain circles that you may commonly go into or interact in that may not be on the same page. I'm not saying like disown nobody, don't get me wrong. My mom ain't on the same circle, ain't on the same wavelength I am. I'm gonna disown my mom. No, I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is, do you discern some of the information or some of the circles that you interact in? Because I know I do. I had to get away from that circle for of those guys that was talking about cars all the time. It's the same as if I was a man and I'm in a circle of single men who do single things all the time, like going out, those enticements, those temptations, because eventually, if I'm continuing to interact in that circle, it can become influential to me, or I could possibly set myself up in a state of vulnerability and want to act out in some of the same manners that they did. In this case, I bought a Corvette. Now, to my defense, Stephanie was with me when I bought that Corvette. that's the only thing that I would throw out there. To my defense, I wasn't there by myself. I wasn't the guy that just came home with a Corvette. She was with me with Corvette, but at the same time, I was kind of like very adamant, and so she was more or less like, if I don't go with him, he's going to bring it home anyway, and it is just going to cause more strife than what we need it to be, because it's an object, not our life. And so, but yeah, I would like to know, do we look at the circles that we in and assess those circles, whether they're beneficial to us, to where we're trying to go, and the goals that we're trying to get to? Yeah, throw it in the chat. Do you look at your circles? Or Karen, do you look at the people that are around you and that you commonly commune with in your circles, and see if they're like, yeah, I can express myself with these people based upon where I'm trying to go, knowing that the feedback that I'm going to get to them is going to help me or help themselves propel to the ultimate goal that they're trying to be, which is debt free.
Absolutely. I mean, thank goodness I have most of like my close family and my friends, they already have that mindset. So I'm grateful for that. But I definitely have a couple friends who, they're like, oh, come on, you get paid. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I just kind of say, hey, that's not my budget. Sorry. And I just had to get to the point, because I knew that I wanted to be focused on getting out of debt. And even a very close friend of mine who is, sometimes I call her YOLO.
YOLO.
But I know she's been through some things, and I know why her thinking is that way. Mm-hmm. And I respect that, but I also respect myself to know that sometimes I can't talk to her about those things. We could still be friends, but I don't talk to her about finances too much.
Okay.
So it's yeah, I think you can balance it sometimes, but definitely if there are people who are, if it's negative and it's all the time, that is something that you definitely have to visit.
I would agree. I think we all have to be conscious or about traps that we may set for ourselves. And here's what I mean by traps that we set for ourselves. So there's an article that Adrian and I is reading where it talks about the 10 biggest reasons people go into debt. And I read this article, and one thing that stuck out to me about this article is culturally, we find ourselves victims of our culture or where we come from. And so let me explain. And again, everyone that's in the thread, agree or disagree, maybe you have or have not experienced this. So from a culture where I come from humble beginnings. Let's just put it that way, and most of us have, we didn't grow up with silver spoons in our mouth. We didn't grow up with having all the things that we commonly want to have as we are. Some of the things that we acquire as adults, we didn't, our families or our parents or people in our family didn't have some of those things. And so, you find yourself wanting these things because you felt like you're missing out on something. There's a void. I often used to indulge in certain things or certain buys or expenditures because there's a void there, and I'm trying to fill that void with something that I really wanted, but it has nothing to do with what I really need in my life. And some cases is that people who commonly spend money, those shoppers that we saw out there on Black Friday and Cyber Monday that's doing the clickology online, or they're out there physically in stores and transversing the stores to get the things that they compel that they want to have or maybe even need, and because they can come into two places. You may have needed this item, but you couldn't afford it. But now Black Friday came and it just came in a place where you can actually afford it because it fell in the realm of a need. But when I went out there on Black Friday, it was not a need at all. I'm gonna be real 100. I won't need anything but getting a discount on some gaming console, some radio probably for the car, or some things like that. Because, I was a kid that I grew up where when Christmas came, Christmas was it came down to two things when it came down to Christmas, whether we have anything additional. It came down to what we needed to do in order to take care of our household. Because at the time, living with my mother, the rent came before having something, or new G.I. Joe with a Kung Fu grip up under the Christmas tree, or a racetrack or a He-Man Castle Grayskull piece toy, But then I also seen it as a child that, those things that we didn't have was better for us not to have it, because what we did have was lights and roof over our head, a warm home, and food in our refrigerator. Where I've seen that on the flip side, I've had, other relatives that would do the YOLO, like you were just saying here recently, where they will buy all that stuff for their kids. The kids up under the Christmas tree was full to the gills. I mean, with every gift that you came, if there was a transformer out, that dude had 9 out of 10 of them if they were out at that particular time. But the remorse came in directly after Christmas, and the rent that was deferred now came due. The light bill that was put off, or I'll pay a little bit on it, came due, which ultimately wound that individual up to seeking out some type of, borrowing some type of money in order to pay the creditors or those masters who came to roost, so to speak, that wanted that money, because we choose to make a decision at the moment in time based upon feelings. I'm going to make sure I have it. I'm going to be happy, but it was on a monetary and a materialistic scale for a short term, knowing you have long-term effects from that. now you're behind in these bills, or you're behind in your rent, your mortgage, or whatever the case may be. And so that's why we have to be very strategic when we're talking about, because I just had this exercise today. I've been mentoring a young lady for the last 2 years at my job, and I just had this very same exercise today. She came to me in a panic because the car that she has now has a list of 20 items that needs to be repaired on the car. Now the car is only worth $2,100. She just put $1,100 in the car this past weekend. That car is subject, and she's a single parent that has 2 kids. The likelihood of that car lasting for another year is not very likely, because it's continuously keep breaking down. She has put more money into this car than it's actually worth. So the need now is for her to get some reliable transportation. But she made a mistake a couple of months back. She just spent 10 grand taking herself, her mom, and her 2 kids over to Paris for a 4-day trip to Paris. The trip was 4 days. And so when we talked about it before she left, her rationale for doing that is that her mom was switching jobs and her mom was a little bit depressed. And I was asking, I said, so you're going to spend 10 grand, approximately 10 grand. I estimated it at that time based upon airline tickets, the part of Paris they're going to, because I visited quite often, so I knew it wasn't going to be cheap. Now that inflation had hit, inflation is just not in America, it's all over the world. So she's so like, yeah, I just want to do something to cheer her up. So you're going to spend $10,000 on 4 days. That's over $2,000 a day. You're going to spend on 4 days to take your mom to Paris to cheer her up. She's like, yeah. I put it aside, Now, mind you, I'm just mentoring this person, and I reiterate the goal. And your goal is to become debt free. Your goal is to ensure that you have X amount of dollars coming into the house every month, because this is your bottom line. This is what you need to have. You realize by indulging in this activity that you're going to set yourself back from this goal. She's like, I don't think so. I can come back. I said, the only way that you will get me on your side if you do 3 photo shoots at $3,000 a piece before you go. That way the money that you never had will already be there. But if you do 3 photo shoots, that means you obviously have the opportunity to pay off things more faster. No clientele came, didn't do the 3 photo shoots, went to Paris. Fast forward to today. Today was our Monday meeting. We meet twice a week. We meet on Mondays and we meet on Wednesdays. And we talk about financing, budget, and what needs to be done versus what we're doing. She come in today, she had 3 crises today. All 3 of those crises that she had, that she came to me about today, equates to about $30,000. The car being one of them. Got to replace the car, because the car is no longer a want. The car became a need, because based upon the unreliability for her to getting back and forth to work, and knowing that she's a single parent and has 2 girls, having reliable transportation to get them around, that's option number 1. You have to get a new car. Don't have to get a brand new car, but you have to get a reliable car nonetheless. Number 2, you just talked to your father on Christmas Day. He's well old in his age. They don't know how long because she's from another country, how long that he had left to live. Now you got to go see your father. There's no suggestion, should you go see him, you have to go see him, because you don't know when he may pass. That's at least $5 grand right now. If she booked the ticket today, that $5 grand could be $5,100 tomorrow, $5,200 tomorrow, the next day. As you get closer to the travel date that you're trying to look at, the prices tend to go up, because now you're not forecasting. You're moving on. So now we're looking at almost 30 grand, right? 30 grand right now. 30 grand.
Wow.
And that's all. But 1/3 of that money went to Paris that she already had.
Mm-hmm.
Had she not indulged in her want and looked at the needs that she had coming up, because these needs right here, they always been there. We've been talking about a car for months. Even the mechanic told her that this car is not going to last forever. So the need has always been there to research, find a car, acquire the car, because the car you have is going to break down. Her father has been deathly, and I mean deathly ill for months. And the likelihood of him surviving to the new year was not very likely. But we indulge in this wants. These are the things that we want people to take a look at when they're talking about their needs and their wants. Your wants, it's okay to want them, but when you're looking at your needs and you're taking a hard look at them and you're taking all the emotional out of the wants and you're looking at your needs, you need to make a decision. You need to sit back and make a decision. Now, again, guys, if you're single, you know, you got to battle with your flesh. That's between you and your flesh. You don't have your brother's keeper or your better half if you have a spouse or whatever to help you overcome the challenges of indulging in those wants. I certainly, and if you do have a spouse, guys and gals that's on the call and on the thread, don't be so forceful and try to force them into, you know, indulging in your wants because you really want to get it done. Hey, be realistic and be fair about it. Don't be playing the game and say, yes, we can do it, and you know, and try to get them to co-sign off on your wants when you do have these, you know, these very real and relevant needs over here on this side. And so that's why we found this important, because we believe that it starts between the mind first. It's starting you centering yourself like you did, Karen. I applaud you for what you did this weekend.
Yeah, good job.
The best catalyst that dispelled that was God. God spoke to you about what he revealed to you about your goals, and he brought it to your remembrance. And therefore, it was a no issue with you not indulging in something that was going to prevent you from getting to where you want to go. So I applaud you for that. But for everyone else on the thread, or everyone else who may view this in the future, we really have to put it in front of us. Because we don't put it in front of us, I know for me, we tend to blend the two into one. And now we can't distinguish between what is our wants and what are our needs. Adrian?
Yeah. So guys, one thing I wanted to say to you guys as well is, so how does debt come into play when we're thinking about these wants versus needs? Now, if we all have been there and we have all had access to debt, and debt has made getting our wants a lot easier, because now our mind can rationalize that we can afford it because we can meet the payments, or we can get it now and they told me I ain't got to pay for it for 12 months, or I can do this. So I think this leverage of debt has really changed our mindset when it comes to wants versus needs. So say there that some of these things that you have on your want list, if you had to go pay cash for it right now, would that still be a need that you would go out and buy that right now? So just think about that. So think about that $30,000 car that you saying you need. I need to have this car. But if you don't have the money set aside right now to go get that car, and debt was not an option, would that car still be in the want category, or would it still be in the need category, and you would figure out a way to accumulate that money to move it into the need category, move it from want to need? So that will help you to make a decision about, okay, do I really need a $30,000 car, or can we get by with a $15,000 car? What are our wants and what do we need, from that standpoint? So when we take debt off the table, it makes your decisions a whole lot easier. That's why one of the things with credit cards, they said people have exhausted their debit cards. That means they've run through all this money they saved up during COVID. These trillions of dollars they said Americans were sitting on. These jokers we have burned through all that money. And now we done went from the money we had and we spending the money we ain't got. So just think about that. And so what we want you guys to do is, next time you get that itch and that want, take that off the table. Well, if I don't have the money for it, that will help you curb that itch, because that money, you have to make sure that you look at your needs category and focus in on what your needs are. Get your needs taken care of first. The Bible says God will meet all of your needs. You know, the wants are good to have, but first he said he'll supply everything we need exceedingly abundantly to take care of your needs. So, and then, you know, once our needs are taken care of, then that allows us to give and to expand. And that allows us to open our hands and bless others. You know, because all of our needs are met. Now we can help meet the needs of others. And what that does is that opens up more blessings for you. So now some of these wants you have on your want list can come over and start, you know, God will supply you with more than you need. So now you can not only bless other people, but now you can get some of these wants. You can move some of these wants over into your needs category and you can get those things. So really what we want you guys to take away from is, you know, take debt off the table. Take the debt off the table. If the debt ain't there and you ain't got the money for it, it makes your decisions a lot easier. So, I mean, folks, some of the folks in the chat, have you experienced that even this year where you're going with that struggle, where you know you got the money is running low on this side from the debit card and you say, well, I really wanted to get the kids this, or I really wanted to buy this for myself, and they just said it was 50% off. So when am I, you know, I know they may not have a sale like this again. Oh yeah, they'll have another sale like this again, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, Suzanne says she really wants a wig right now. She said sometimes you feel like it's a need.
It's a need.
I like you. You're right on time, Suzanne.
Yeah.
Real talk. I bet you Stephanie she'll co-sign off of that one right now with you. Yeah. She's on those wigs. I mean, but speaking of wigs, and I was telling Adrian today, you know, I used to be like, why are you buying so many wigs, you know, on my wife? And then my wife flipped the script on me. She said, okay, I won't get wigs anymore. I will get what they call sister locks. They call sister locks. Lock. Yeah, she's gonna get a hair lock. And then I was like, okay. And when she started telling me the price about these locks, I'm like, oh, is that a want? I'm like, is that a want? And I'm like, sister lock. Oh, you know, the price for these sister locks were like, you know, were like a lot. And then she was like, yeah, it is a want because of X, but it's really a need because of X. Because I have a need too. You know, I always had a need for her to stop buying so many products, in hair products, that is. Wigs along with it. Shout out to Suzanne again on the wig call. And but when she explained to me about these sister locks and how it was going to prevent her from buying so many consumer products, and it will save her time, and that was one of the things that she expressed to me, then her need to have those sister locks turned into my need, so our needs married up in that list that we talked about, needs versus wants. It was no longer a want, or I couldn't consider it as a want. I saw it as a solidified need because it meets two things. And exactly, it saves us money in the household because we're not indulging in products. Amazon is not coming to my door every day after she get these sister locks, and it's going to provide her with hair protection, and it's going to last a long time before she need to get them maintenance done on them, you know, again, and stuff like that, which is cost savings over the long run. So the amount of money she's going to invest in this need, which I consider as a need now too, and I'm on board with it, is going to pay dividends in other areas that I needed for us to stop doing, which is being so much of consumers and bringing in all these products in the house. So it goes to what Adrian just said. You know, you have to really put those things in perspective when you're talking about buying these things versus off this, I want this, versus not looking at this as an absolutely need. Thank you for co-signing that for me, Suzanne. It took me a long. I ain't gonna say it happened overnight, but I now got it. I understand now. So it didn't happen all night.
Yeah. But guys, but this is really the topic that we want to discuss tonight. You know, the first of this series is wants versus needs. Like Rondell said, we've got 10 different things that they've identified that are things that really cause us to go into debt. And the wants versus need, when me and Rondell was just brainstorming and going through this list, and we spent a whole hour, just the two of us, talking about wants versus needs. So we was like, you know, this is going to have to be a multi-part series, that when we start really getting into all of these psychological things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, that we may not even realize that we're dealing with. So the point of us talking about them is that so you guys will have it at the forefront of your mind, and that when these things arise, you can kind of see it for what it is. And you say, wait a minute, we just talked about this in our last session. So let me do something different than just first reaction is appease my emotion, you know, and go ahead and do this want because it makes me feel good right now. And then a couple of weeks later, you're regretting that you made that decision. You're sitting there looking at that item that you just got, and most cases you ain't even touched it. You know, you done bought it and you ain't even took it out of the box yet, or you ain't even worn it, or you ain't even done anything with it. You just bought it because you saw it and they had a good price on it. I don't think my wife is on here today, but I know her and my daughter were talking about it the other night. They were talking about, you know, these sales and these coupons they send in the mail. They're a sucker for a coupon, or they're a sucker for a sale. You know, all they got to do is send them a coupon and say, hey, we'll give you $10 if you spend $25, you know. And they're like, okay, well, that's $10 that they giving me. I say, yeah, but you got to get them 15 to get the 10, you know. But yeah, these are some of the things that they do, guys. They send things out and they kind of play on your emotions. And we got to be mindful of that. You know, had they not sent you that coupon, would you still want to went in the store and bought those items? Had they not sent you that coupon? You know, these are some of the things you have to think about because that's how they get you. You know,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So we're going to challenge y'all in the upcoming weeks. Again, as much as I know how y'all like joining us weekly and enjoy us, you know, because football season is almost over. At least it is for me as of last week, last Sunday with my team losing the way they did. We want to make sure we're very deliberate in delivering these topics and subjects. So I personally got a little bit of homework, and I need y'all to keep that in mind when we come next week and think about it. You know, we just touched on, you know, needs and wants. Don't just leave here. Really think about it. Have it in your discussions this week with those who you find close that's in your inner circle. You know, because like Adrian just stated, we talked about that for about a good hour. And then I think we talked about it again for another good 2 hours this morning when we were on my way to work. I have a long commute, so I have time to talk on the way to work. So basically my commuting time. And we really discuss it because sometimes we find ourselves, you know, the Joneses is not someone you don't know. Sometimes the Joneses could be the person right next to you that can entice you to buy something like a Corvette that really had $20,000+ of student loan on this side. And then put it in front of your face. When you get in your alone time, you know, or you know, your private time, and you're sitting there thinking, you know, draw that T chart and just start mapping it out. And then set it down and come back to it a little bit later. Because that's what we had to do. We had to spitball that thing and, you know, throw darts at it, and then we left it alone. And then we came back to it and like, I really don't need an Xbox One S. You know, I really don't need that. You know, I don't need it. I know I put it on as a need because, you know, it's one of the things I do to, you know, relax. It's playing sporting games. But do I need that one? You know, so, you know, you really have to put it in perspective. You know, do I need to have, shout out to Suzanne, do I need to have 5 wigs and they all curly? You might not need them. you might not need them.
I need some straight ones in there.
Yeah, you might need to throw some variation up in there. I don't know. But sometimes doing that little exercise, I've done it with the person that I've been mentoring for the last 2 years. We had to do it today because she'd gotten off track because, you know, with the holidays and everything, there was a little bit of time that we didn't have to have our sessions. So we had to put the T chart on the board and we had to get refocused on what the goals are or the needs. And if you're going to striving for a goal, it's a need because you're going to want to achieve that goal. you know, you don't want to achieve, you need to achieve that goal. And that's becoming debt free. So next week, we're going to talk about another topic. And I just want to just throw this out there so you guys can have a chance, not next week, but week after next, excuse me again. Don't want to get your hopes up, because I'm not going to be that guy. But we really want to continue to explore the psyche behind why do we do what we do, and we do it anyway. Because God talks about that in the Bible also. We know what we do that we shouldn't be doing, but we end up doing it anyway. And so the second topic that we're going to discuss next week, what do we tell ourselves, you know, and how does it feel, you know, when we tell ourselves that? Because I'll be real with you, we'll lie to ourselves faster than we'll lie to somebody else. I mean, when, you know, oh, it's not that bad, you know, I can handle it, you know, spin it till it's red, whatever the case may be, you know. But yeah, what do we tell ourselves? I want you to think about that in the next coming weeks. You know, ask your spouse that question. What do you tell yourself to convince yourself to buy that? You know, or it's always me, you know, I have to tell myself what convinced me to buy this. And I'll share the story with you, or my testimony with you, the next time we meet. Because there's some things that I bought that I told myself something in order to buy that. And then I had to take a step back after I purchased it. And it's not the car. It wasn't the car, you know, and it wasn't the car this time, but it's other things. And we continue to find ourselves trapped in that. You had something you want to share, Karen?
You know, I was thinking about that coupon thing with Deshaun. But one thing that I realized I had to do when I wanted to get serious about this, I had to go into my my email, and I had to start unsubscribing.
Awesome.
Oh, that's good.
Like
That's
department stores and stuff like that, because just seeing it sometimes was like, oh, well, what is that?
I didn't even know I needed that.
Like I was window shopping, but I realized it would pull me in. So I was like, you know what, this is crazy. So I had to start, you know, unsubscribing. And now I got to do it again, because with this Christmas stuff, they done put me back on some lists. So I got to go back in here and do it again. But that is one thing I said, I'm really going to have to seriously unsubscribe to this stuff, because it's enticing.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. And that goes what Rohan was saying earlier in the chat. He said that marketing, and I just paraphrase here, shout out to Rohan that's in the thread tonight. He says that marketing, and Adrian mentioned it in other segments, that marketing is a multi-billion-dollar business. The amount of money that they spend in Super Bowl commercials or the NBA finals, the commercials that they're spending right now due to the World Cup, the soccer that's happening, this soccer event they're having in Qatar, it is unreal. It is very unreal. All to attract us, a consumer, to entice us to do what we discussed here in this message. We got our needs, but they're marketing towards your wants. Because we all have them.
Yeah, they're really geared towards making you dissatisfied with what you currently have, and make you they want to make you dissatisfied. What you got ain't good enough. Your TV ain't got as many pixels in it as this TV we got here, and it's not going to be as clear when you watch it as this TV we got here. Yours only got 4K, this one is 8K. So, you know, they constantly adding more stuff on out there, you know.
Absolutely.
So we have to be mindful. So with that being said, guys, we're not going to hold you guys up anymore tonight. One thing we did do is we did put out the survey that we promised you guys we were going to put out there. So if you haven't had a chance to go out there and take a look at it, it'll only take you maybe 2 minutes to do the survey. It just gives us an idea of where the community is, and where me and Rondell can improve and help focus in on what would help you guys, you know, get over a hump if you're in a stumbling block. If you're doing well, we want to know about it. If you're not doing well, we want to know about it.
Absolutely.
You know, if you don't know where to start, we want to know about it. Because we'll circle back and go back to where we started talking about budgeting. if you're having trouble, with your budget or establishing your budget, you're having trouble with the debt snowball, any of this stuff, we're here to help you guys get over the hump and get you going in the right direction, or keep encouraging you to go in the right direction. Because the ultimate goal for all of us that's tuning in each week, it'll be every 2 weeks now, but is to ultimately free you from the bondage of debt, and give you that different focus that it is possible, no matter what income level you're at. I believe we serve a bigger God than what our circumstances are right now. So no matter where you are, I believe God is just waiting to show you what he can do if you just trust in him and turn this debt over to him and watch what he does. There's several instances in the Bible where, people have come to God with debt, and God has done miraculous things in their lives to eliminate that debt.
Yes, they have.
So we just want to leave that with you guys. And like I said, we're going to jump into the rest of these topics, and we're going to give them me and Rondell are going to do our due diligence. We're going to do our studying, which is another reason why we moved it from every week to 2 weeks, because we want to have time to do our research. We want to have time to really read the Bible and see what the Bible says in relation to some of these different things that we're working on, because everything we do is going to be rooted in the Word of God.
Amen.
So, with that being said, me and Rondell both have full-time jobs. We both have families. So we just want to make sure that we allot the amount of time that we need to properly do you guys justice. So that's really why we moved it to 2 weeks, so that we can have those times to study and really dig into these topics and bring material that's going to be beneficial for you guys.
Amen.
So, with that being said, thank you guys again. And once again, I said, go out and do the survey. It's out there on the page, and I can drop it in the chat here as well. But like I said, it'll take you 2 minutes. It's 10 questions. Take you 2 minutes just to go through and they'll just give us an idea of where everybody is, what everybody's thought process is, and and how me and Rondell are doing with moving through these. If we're moving too fast, if we're not really, if the topics we're talking about are not interesting to you, or not being beneficial, no, can pivot. So.
We definitely can.
So with that being said, guys, have a great night. Once again, let your faith be bigger than your fear. And we continue to see you guys in 2 weeks. And we'll continue to have things going like they should. So,
amen. Have a great evening, everyone.
You guys have a good evening. All right.